A university can be measured in buildings, books, laboratories, and graduates. But Harvard's deeper history is measured in the questions it has carried across time. Who should be educated? What knowledge is worth preserving? And how should learning serve a changing society? Founded in the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1636, Harvard is the oldest institution of higher education in the United States. Yet its story is not a straight line from colonial college to global university. It is a record of ambition, privilege, discovery, exclusion, reform, and reinvention. In this film, we follow that story from the first colonial vote to the research university of today. Information compiled from public sources by Mohammed Ayaz Khan.
On October 28, 1636, the Great and General Court of the Massachusetts Bay Colony approved £400 for a schoale or college. That vote, rather than a single Founders Act, is the legal beginning of Harvard. The college was ordered to be located at Newtown, which became Cambridge in 1638. The institution was small, religious in purpose, and created in a society still being built by English settlers on Massachusetts land. John Harvard entered the story as its first major benefactor. In 1638, he left the college his library of about 400 books and half of his estate. The following year, the General Court voted that the college at Cambridge should be called Harvard College. The distinction matters. John Harvard gave the institution its name and an essential early endowment, but Harvard University's own history identifies the colonial government's vote as the act that founded the college.
The familiar statue of John Harvard is one of the most photographed objects in Harvard Yard. Its plaque calls him founder, but the university's own historical account offers a more precise description. He was the first major benefactor, not the sole founder. The statue is also a reminder that memory is selective. Harvard preserves an image of certainty in bronze, while the surviving record shows a collective act of legislation, land purchase, benefaction, and administration. In 1640, the Reverend Henry Dunster became Harvard's first president. Under Dunster, the college gained institutional shape, and in 1650, the charter of Harvard College created the corporation known as the President and Fellows of Harvard College. That charter transferred the management of the college to a body designed to continue in perpetual succession. The governance structure has changed. Harvard expanded the corporation from 7 to 13 members in 2010, but the principle of enduring institutional stewardship reaches back to that 17th century document.
The early college was not isolated from the colony around it. Harvard's 1650 charter pledged the education of English and Indian youth, and an Indian college stood in Harvard Yard from 1655 to 1698. Harvard identifies John Sassamon, a Massachusetts Indian who studied there in 1653, as the first known Native American student. His life connected Harvard to the tangled politics of New England, including indigenous diplomacy, English expansion, and the violence that followed. A century later, Harvard was drawn into the American Revolution. Continental soldiers were quartered in its buildings in 1775, and 8 Harvard alumni signed the Declaration of Independence. John Adams, Samuel Adams, and John Hancock are the most famous names, but 5 other alumni also signed. Harvard educated men who entered public life, yet the college remained selective and hierarchical. Its early influence was real, but so were the limits of who could enter, teach, and be heard.
In 1780, the Massachusetts Constitution officially recognized Harvard as a university. Medical instruction began the next year, and Harvard Medical School was founded in 1782. The change was more than a new title. During the 19th century, Harvard became a federation of specialized schools and scholarly institutions. The Divinity School was established in 1816.
Harvard Law School in 1817, the Observatory in 1839, and the Lawrence Scientific School in 1847, after Abbot Lawrence gave $50,000 to support formal programs in engineering and applied sciences. Graduate education expanded with the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences in 1872, while the Arnold Arboretum joined teaching, public culture, and scientific observation. The Harvard Annex opened in 1879 with 27 women and later became Radcliffe College. By the end of the century, Harvard was no longer simply a colonial college. It was becoming an interconnected research university, still rooted in Cambridge, but increasingly international in its intellectual reach.
Harvard's expansion did not erase its exclusions. Harvard's own history describes Black history at the university as a dual legacy of slavery and discrimination, alongside pioneering moments of inclusion and empowerment. Beverly Garnett Williams was admitted in 1847, but died before entering the college. Richard T. Greener became the first Black student to enter Harvard College and complete the undergraduate curriculum in 1870. Women's participation also developed gradually. Women studied through the Harvard Annex, faculty appointments came later, and equal admissions for male and female undergraduates were adopted in 1975. Native American history follows a similar pattern of promise and delay. Harvard's charter spoke of indigenous education, but a program specifically addressing Native American issues did not emerge until 1970. In 2022, President Larry Bacow released the report of the Committee on Harvard and the Legacy of Slavery, accepted its recommendations, and announced a historic $100 million commitment. The institution's history, therefore, has to be told as both achievement and accountability.
Philanthropy has always been part of Harvard's architecture. John Harvard's bequest helped a fragile college survive. Abbot Lawrence's gift helped create a formal scientific school. The Widener Library, opened in 1915, became a visible expression of how gifts can preserve knowledge at enormous scale. Harvard's endowment now consists of thousands of philanthropic gifts, many restricted to particular purposes. The university says those funds support financial aid, faculty and fellowships, scientific advancement, neighborhood programs, museums, libraries, and campus activities. In the 21st century, named gifts continue to reshape Harvard. Kenneth Griffin gave $150 million to Harvard College in 2014, principally for financial aid. The Morningside Foundation gave $350 million in 2014, leading to the naming of the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. In 2015, John A. Paulson gave $400 million to support engineering and applied sciences, then the largest gift in Harvard's history. These gifts reveal both the power and the complexity of modern universities. Philanthropy can widen opportunity and accelerate discovery, while also influencing what institutions can build and prioritize.
Harvard's alumni network has repeatedly entered the central rooms of public life. In the American Revolution, John Adams, Samuel Adams, and John Hancock moved from Harvard into the struggle over independence. Later, John Adams and John Quincy Adams became presidents of the United States. Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama also held Harvard degrees. Harvard's own Gazette described Obama's 1991 Harvard Law School degree as making him the 8th U.S. president to graduate from Harvard. The connection between education and leadership is not automatic, and Harvard does not manufacture history by itself. But the university has provided networks, habits of argument, professional training, and access to institutions that shape public life. Its influence also extended beyond politics. The business school opened in 1908 as the first U.S. business program limited to college graduates. In 1944, the IBM Mark I computer began operating at Harvard, marking a memorable step in the history of computing and showing how an old university could become a site of new technical futures.
Harvard's modern identity rests not only on famous graduates,
but on research communities that work across disciplines and borders. Harvard University lists Nobel laureates in physics, chemistry, medicine, literature, peace, and economic sciences. Its history records the first Harvard Nobel laureate in 1914, Theodore William Richards, recognized for determining atomic weights. In 2019, researchers associated with the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics helped reveal the first image of a supermassive black hole. The image itself belongs to a global scientific collaboration, the Event Horizon Telescope. NASA identifies the object as the black hole at the center of galaxy M87, about 55 million light-years from Earth, and credits the Event Horizon Telescope collaboration. The achievement illustrates a mature model of knowledge, instruments and scholars distributed across the world, institutions contributing different forms of expertise, and a result that becomes public property of humanity's imagination. Harvard's role is significant, but it is part of a larger scientific ecosystem, rather than a solitary triumph.
A short list of Harvard's famous graduates can sound like a map of modern influence. In politics, there are the Adamses, the Roosevelts, Kennedy, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. In literature and philosophy, Harvard educated Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Henry James, T.S. Eliot, and E.E. Cummings. In law and public service, graduates and faculty include Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. and many leaders of American courts and government. In science, Harvard's community has included Nobel-recognized researchers, physicians, astronomers, economists, and computer pioneers. In culture and public thought, the university's graduates and teachers have helped shape journalism, architecture, education, civil rights, business, and the arts. But fame is not the same as institutional virtue. The point of naming graduates is not to claim that every achievement belongs to Harvard. It is to show the scale of the university's human network and to ask how that network has been used, who was left out of it, and what responsibilities come with its reach.
By the 21st century, Harvard was confronting a question shared by many old institutions. How should a university inherit its past without polishing it into myth? The Legacy of Slavery report placed financial history, enslaved labor, racial exclusion, and institutional memory into a public conversation. Harvard also acknowledges that it stands on the traditional and ancestral land of the Massachusetts, the original inhabitants of the Boston and Cambridge area. The university has changed in other ways as well. Drew Gilpin Faust became Harvard's first woman president in 2007. Radcliffe College merged with Harvard College in 1999. Harvard and MIT announced edX in 2012, extending the university's teaching mission beyond the physical campus. The COVID-19 pandemic moved classes online in 2020, while new science and engineering facilities opened in Alston in 2021. These developments show an institution trying to remain old enough to preserve memory, but flexible enough to respond to new demands. Today, Harvard presents itself as a university of 14 schools, with Harvard College serving undergraduates and 13 graduate and professional schools teaching the rest of its students. Its official About page lists 24,317 undergraduate and graduate students, 20,117 faculty and staff, more than 400,000 alumni worldwide, more than 35 million learners through Harvard Online, and about 650,000 annual visitors to its museums. Alan M. Garber became Harvard's president on August 2nd, 2024. The numbers are impressive, but the central story is human. Harvard began as a small colonial college supported by a public vote and a private bequest. It became a university through schools, libraries, laboratories, donors, arguments, and generations of students. Its graduates have occupied presidencies and courtrooms, written books, built companies, made discoveries, and challenged the institutions they inherited. Harvard's legacy is therefore unfinished.
the same question that confronted the college in 1636 remains alive today. What should learning make possible, and for whom?